another thing that I think about a lot with ads and like different platforms is like, what is your goal of that ad and the goal options within the platform? So we talk about LinkedIn a lot. I'm staying LinkedIn more and more. And one of the things that I like about LinkedIn is that your ads can have different calls to action. And one thing that I've been testing recently are the download call to action with your ads. So basically, you kind of create a gate on your content. So let's say you want to get new leads and kind of just saying, hey, click this to learn more. It's not strong enough for certain audiences. For high value audiences, the CEO is not going to scroll and click like, yeah, sign me up for this. They know what it is, right? But if you have a downloadable, which you can, associated with your LinkedIn ad, you can say, fill out this quick form to download our 2025 trends for LinkedIn ads. Yeah. And then you get that contact information because they click that, then they get a free download, right? So they're getting something from that. And I found that was very, very valuable. And we saw really great results when you're giving someone something and you can automate all that and have really great leads from that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's a really good example. And it kind of dovetails into like the next part of what I want us to get into is a lot of times you and I both get questions around, all right, if we have a client and they're looking to spend money on ads, the first question we usually get is, well, what's going to be my ROI? Yeah. And I'm like, that is a loaded question, right? There's so many things that you have to consider as to whether or not you're going to generate any kind of return from the ads, from the ad budget that you may allocate. It's everything from creative. I love what you said about what your backend system looks like, because we've seen it where we can get clients traffic all day. Yeah. We can get them leads all day. But a lot of times we've seen it where they'll leave clients just kind of hanging in their abandoned carts, or they don't have any follow-up sequences or messaging to nurture those leads or to nurture those new prospects that come in the door. And then you're just wasting money. Yep. And it's like the easiest thing is to get you to traffic, right? And to target the right people. But what are you doing to actually convert them on the back end? Because the relationship that you build with them after you've created a hook that got them into the door to begin with is really where you see like the return and the value from what you may allocate for your budget.
Yeah. And also sometimes we can't control like how they feel when they land somewhere.
Exactly.
So like we set up really great ads and then they land on your website and it's not optimized. And maybe we don't manage the website because if we did, it'd be optimized. But they land on the website and it doesn't move them or help them take a follow-up or a next step. And so we can't control that, but we did really great on your ads. And now you think that they were lower performing because when they landed there, they didn't take a next step that was out of our control. So I do experience that a lot. And then I think I do try to give people a baseline, but I usually like aim high. And really that baseline is from the research that I do as I'm setting up an ad or testing ad. Like what are the demographic details that I can plug into Meta? Or what are the demographic details that I can plug into LinkedIn? And based on that reach, how can I average what the cost will be? But again, it's about great content. It's about what your value add is to that audience. Maybe you think it's something really valuable that isn't really that valuable for that audience. And so we can't control that, but we can control how your ad looks and how it shows up.
Yeah. So a lot of what we do on the front end, and Kelsey and I have been on so many calls and conversations where we're kind of evaluating whether or not a client is actually ready to launch kind of a massive campaign. And one of the things that's kind of an extension of what you mentioned is now we have kind of calculators that we built out, right? To where we have a sense, we have an understanding of, from an industry perspective, what those benchmarks may be. If we have an idea of what your cost per acquisition, cost per lead, whatever the CPM is on a lot of different things, we can start to back into what potential results will look like just to give clients kind of a baseline. Now, it's not exact, but it's something to say, all right, well, if you do this and all these things remain constant, or, we assume that the creative is dope. We assume that you have kind of the back end systems where they need to be. This is the potential of where your ad spend will actually go. I noticed that really helps customers on the front end, especially those who are novice to running ads and they've never done it. It helps settle them a little bit, because it's like, it's always that fear or that risk of like, well, if I spend $5,000, will I actually see a return on that? And there's so many factors, like we said in the beginning, that contribute to that. But it's one thing that, we really, really encourage is take your time to make sure you understand your numbers, your data, your systems, because all that stuff comes into effect when it comes to like whether or not these ad campaigns are going to be successful.